Welcome to the June 20th Global World on Water Sailing Highlights show. During our past 18 years of uploading our program, there has been many sailing highlights, but none more spectacular than this week in the Loro Piana Giraglia, the Yacht Club Italiano's offshore race from Saint-Tropez to Genoa via the Giraglia Rock.Owner, SH, has had faith in David Witt and his Scallywag crew that they could produce a race-winning 100-foot superyacht, and this week he was rewarded, as Sun Hung Kai Scallywag won the Loro Piana race, beating the newest and best maxis in the Northern Hemisphere. Witty had onboard as tactician, ex-skipper of Peter Harburgs' Maxi Blackjack, North Sails Mark Bradford. Together they found the lifts and shifts during the race to beat off Lindsay Owen-Jones' brand new Magic Carpet E. Not bad for a 10-year-old boat. Congratulations SH and the crew of Scallywag.
It was as light as we expected, but it wasn't as close as we expected. We didn't even know if we were going to be any good against the Magic Carpet, brand new boat, but I think we're 10 years old and it's brand new, so we're really happy to be able to beat it. We got lucky in the middle sea, and we got lucky here and we won here, so that's our two med events we've won. Now we go to the Fastnet back to Australia for the Hobart. So it's been a very successful Mediterranean campaign for the Aussie sponsor and the whole team.
8 races for winners on first day of Finn World Masters in Medemblik. Racing at the 2025 Finn World Masters began in Medemblik, the Netherlands, on Monday with 8 races over 2 course areas in 4 groups. It was a big day on the water with a shifty 8 to 12 knots offshore breeze and a lot of racing. 307 Finns from 27 countries are taking part. There was an early postponement of about an hour to wait for the wind to arrive, building through the morning from 8 to 10 knots in the first race to 10 to 12 in the second, and gradually clearing skies to leave another very warm and pleasant day in Medemblik. Both races in each of the 4 groups were won by the same sailor, so there is a 4-way tie at the top after the first day. Laurent Hay, Fabian Lemmel, Eric Bakker and Peter Jan Postma all won both their races. Perhaps of greater interest is that in 5th place is the 1996 Olympic bronze medalist, Roy Heine, with 2 solid second places. Other standout performances came from Zdenek Gebhardt with a 3-2 and Marco Buglielli with a 2-4. Buglielli said, "It was a very good day for me. I was a bit lucky, and we also had light wind, which is my favorite condition. Today I scored a 2nd and a 4th, so I'd say it's a very good beginning of the championship. Being here is wonderful. This year I managed to attend 2 championships, the Europeans in Naples and the Finn World Masters in Medemblik, and it's very good. You know, it's a wonderful atmosphere. We're also having some nice weather and some light wind conditions, which is very good for me." The 2022 champion, Peter Jan Postma, is undoubtedly the home favourite and made it look easy today. He said, "A good first day here in Medemblik. It was a great day today with 2 races. We have 2 courses for fleets and the breeze was around 8 till 10 knots, and we had some really great racing, with 80 boats on the starting line." An emotive visit to the boating con for Pip. There is a long and uncertain road ahead for Pip, but it is with huge thanks and gratitude to everyone who has shown incredible support in helping get the boat back to France. Here is an update on what is next.
I've come to Con to just grab a few things off my boat and check on how our repairs are going, which are coming along slowly. So the situation is that I'm organising for the small repairs for the damage that got done during the dismasting to be organised here at V1D2 in Con. And we're just kind of taking our time and doing it in the most cost-effective way that we can. The spare mast is here. We've got various rigging bits down on the floor down there, so we've managed to kind of source all of the rigging that we need to put the boat back together. But nothing is going to happen until we know whether we have a sponsor for the future. So here you can see the lamination on the side of the tow rail where the mast hit there, and here the repairs to the coach roof. Just come to get a few of bits and pieces of mine out of the boat, say some food that we can use for the Ocean Race Europe, and kind of a few of my personal bits and pieces, and I needed my TPS for the Ocean Race Europe. There's always going to be some kind of emotion in coming on board, but we have to be really, really pragmatic right now. We've still got a boat. We've still got a lot of great potential. We just need to find the partner or partners that are going to take us through to the next step in the Pip Hare ocean racing journey. I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who contributed to our fundraising efforts to get the boat back to Europe. It really was a huge expense, and we needed help and support to make it happen. But now the boat's in Europe, we are able to just kind of work at it at a sensible pace, and when we find our new partner, we will be ready to hit the ground and running again. As ever, just want to say a massive thank you for all of your support, and we'll keep you updated for how progress is going.
Relive the highlights of the Bol d'Or du Léman with Sails of Change. More than 15 hours of racing, nighttime finishes, and a tight battle until the very last miles for both boats.
Météo annoncée pour ce Bol d'Or assez compliqué. Une chose est sûre, c'est qu'on va avoir beaucoup de moments avec peu de vent ou pas de vent. Donc ça va être un Bol d'Or pas comme l'année dernière, assez long, très tactique, stratégique. Il va falloir être patient tout au long du parcours. Il va se passer plein de choses sur ce Bol d'Or.
Just back from UNOC, where I was to defend the ocean, 30% of the ocean by 2030. We're back here on Lake Geneva for one of the biggest races that we have in the season, 500 plus boats. We're so happy to be also a signature of the Sports for Nature framework since 2023, because all waters are connected, independently if we're here on the lake or down there in the ocean. And we are happy to partner with some local associations to talk about the biodiversity around the lake.
Je suis un peu stressé. C'est la grosse compète quoi là quand même, c'est là. J'ai envie d'être bien, d'être fort quoi.
Halfway mark here at the end of the lake. So very slow racing, very light winds. And now here's behind me, Sails of Change 10. And now we have all the way back to Geneva.
Deuxième au classement général, ça s'est joué sur pas grand chose, mais quand même rallye. Voilà, c'était une longue course, 15 heures de course, et on finit sur une belle deuxième place.
The Marina Militaire Nastro Rossa Tour moves on to Brindisi, where the regatta sports program takes place, but village events are cancelled due to mourning. The second day of regattas reserved for the Wasp and Wing classes took place regularly in the Brindisi Basin. The particular wind conditions allowed the entire scheduled competition program to be carried out, and there was no shortage of excitement.
The stage was from Vieste to Brindisi.
Wow, you can't get any better than that. You get the tour and you get to go from port to port or city to city.
We're here in Brindisi, and so far I'm very charmed by the city.
That's it, I just enjoyed these races and had lots of fun.
Strasbourg is so beautiful. Brindisi is a nice city. I like it.
The last day of racing here in Brindisi, it was really puffy and shifty and real challenging.
It's really cool that I'm able to race in the 5th anniversary of the tour. And yeah, I really like being here.
The RRD 1 Hour Classic Fall 2025. It consists an hour and little more flight on the water, 21 sides completed, and an international podium thrilling day 2, which saw a much higher performance than on day 1 thanks to more favourable conditions.
1 hour, 1 word.
Interesting.
Fun.
Exhausting.
The 1 hour, 1 word.
Intense.
Mess.
Fun.
Intense.
A fight.
Resistance.
History.
Crazy.
Fast.
Challenging.
Adrenaline.
.5-meter World Championship in Sopot. The Genoa GBR 43, with Peter Morton, Andrew Palfrey, Wary Scott, has won the 2025 5.5-meter World Championship in Sopot, Poland, after the final day of racing. Aspire finally ended up second, with Ku-ring-gai 3 in third. Race wins on the final day went to Ku-ring-gai 3 and the Genoa in the slightly lighter northerly breeze.
2022 we had the first of the Genoas, and I ended up in hospital when the Worlds were on. So that was a bit of a bittersweet moment for me, really, because Dog and Elliot won the Worlds, and I sort of missed out. But it sort of proved it was okay, and this week, we were sort of hoping that we'd have some wind, but I mean, it's not about me really. It's about the team. I mean, perfect preparation of the boat with Andrew Palfrey, and I mean Rory just didn't put a foot wrong all week really. So the only thing, that's pretty good. If you've got a good boat, well prepared and it's fast, and you've got a tactician that basically puts you in the right place all the time, makes it a lot easier for the helmsman, that's for sure. Yes, it is nice. Finally get the job done, yeah.
Well, as Morty said, this is our third Worlds as a team together. The first two, there wasn't a lot of wind, so it was a test of character on board. But we survived the first day of this regatta. It was pretty light, and sailed really well that day, and got some good results. So as the wind came in later in the week, we were able to use the boat to its potential. So that was good.
Very satisfying to come back from a bad day that we had on 2 days ago, and we sort of did a reset, started afresh, and thankfully went our way, and the breeze held in. There's been some fantastic sailing the last couple of days, sun and wind.
Transatlantic race is something that we've grown up, watching my dad doing these epic races, and we've grown up coming here to the New York Yacht Club, and so now to be a part of it is something I'm very excited for.
I think going across the Atlantic, it's a mix of emotions. You really don't know what to expect. I'm excited.
Right now I'm super excited because this morning I just realized it's just 1 day left, and then we are just starting on the water for almost 2 weeks.
3,000 nautical miles. It's a very good challenge, and you just live in the nature. You can only do it in a race like this.
My favorite part of the last race was seeing the dolphins come in the bioluminescence, and they were just outlined in neon.
It's just such an incredible opportunity to do it as a family.
Some of the most challenging times are the really light stuff, when the wind is swirling around and it's 6 or 7 sail changes on a watch.
I mean, it's such a classic. It makes you very humble when you spend enough days offshore.
First realize how vast the oceans are, but you also realize you depend on yourself. And I think that's the big difference between 600-mile races and these large ocean races where it's you and the team and the boat.
Yeah, New York, done and dusted here in quite 2 different days, really, in terms of conditions. Yesterday was very light and dominated by rain squalls. Obviously the bottom end of the conditions that these boats race in, so we saw a crew configuration of the first race. We only raced with 3 crew on board, a setup which we haven't seen in this class for a number of years. For all the team it was a bit of a shake-up, and I think a bit of an overload for certain roles. Very, very tricky conditions all in all. It's not just the team on board the boat that are accountable. We sat down and debriefed it, and as far as the entire team, I think everyone had an area they could have put their hand up and said, I could have helped more in this situation. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of learning points that came out of the weekend, which will put us in a better place going forward, and especially looking forward to the end of the season. The races in the Middle East could be down to those lower crew numbers, so it's something that we need to make sure that is ironed out, and the next time we race in it, we need to be able to nail it. And today was really quite different, quite stronger breeze blowing from a slightly further left direction. The tide out there was obviously still a feature. It was was really ripping all weekend. Race 1, a bit pinched out with the Kiwis, so a bit of a tricky one to start the day today, and then wrapped up with the second and third race. Actually some solid races at the front of the fleet, both top 3 results. So it was a tricky weekend. Good to finish with a couple of good races where, you know, the team on board were actually sailing really solid, and the handling, you know, there's some tricky manoeuvres in those conditions, which was reassuring. But essentially, you know, the result is something that we would have wanted to be a bit better. And, you know, now looking forward, we need to go away, dig into this event, dig into where the easy pickers are ahead of the next event, which is at home in Portsmouth, and figure out, you know, how to get back to that winning formula. It's a much shorter gap now between this finishing up and Portsmouth getting underway. We've got plenty of time to dig into this event and then run into Portsmouth and, you know, have that home crowd behind everyone and really dig into it.